And here we are with another podcast today. We have the Stone Lows.
And this podcast, like every other podcast, is brought to us by South River Brewing Co. Today I'm having Honey, I'm Home. Yeah, southriverbrewing.ca. Free shipping, $50 or more.
Hey, and also, did you know there's actually some promotions going on, some contests that went on Instagram. So check those out too.
Check it. Enjoy.
All right, here we are, another podcast. Today we have the Stone Lows. We've got Liam and Alex from the band. How's it going, guys?
It's going all right. It's going pretty good.
That's good. You guys are in Rochester, correct? New York?
Yeah, we're based right out of Rochester. We've been living there for about 2 years now.
Oh, yeah. Where were you guys before?
Well, yeah, we're right out of Canandaigua. We're just out of high school back in Canandaigua, which is, I mean, you can kind of technically still call that Rochester. That's about like as south as you can go before it's not really Rochester anymore.
Okay.
You guys are close to Buffalo, right?
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half away.
I have family in Buffalo, in Orchard Park. My grandmother's there, like right near the Bills Stadium. She's right there. Yeah. So I mean, I'm
cool.
semi-familiar with the area, not really, but I like to say I am. How'd you guys all meet then? You guys you just out of high school?
I mean, that's not so much anymore. We kind of moved right after that.
All right on.
But yeah, we're all around 21, 22.
Oh, right on.
Ed, our other guitarist, is 24, but
so young.
No, we're
man.
pretty
so
much
young. Good for you guys.
I'm a little jealous. I'm not. I wish we started this when I was 22, 23, 24.
I know. I was being an asshole when I was that age. So good for you guys to focus right up. Eh? Good stuff.
Oh, we're still not out of that phase yet. But.
Okay, good. Did you guys meet up in high school? Is that how you guys all met, or how?
Yeah. That's pretty much how it kicked off the Stone Lows in general. Really, it was kind of not even taking it real serious. It was just kind of a thing to do, like watching TV, playing video games. You just kind of cover some songs.
Hey, good news is when you're 35 and 36, it doesn't change.
Nope. we still play video games.
We still play. We're chelling it up lately. Trying to get back on the gravy train. Anyways, I'll keep it. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Go on. Sorry. As you're saying.
So let's keep going. Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, no. So we basically all started just playing like that in high school and everything like that. And eventually after like sort of the cover phase, and we had to go through a whole figuring out who's playing what instrument phase, because at the start, Liam, were you supposed to play bass or drums?
I don't even remember. I did play all three at one point. We rotated it around.
Yeah, we did. We had a fun time rotating, and everyone like took turns of the instruments. But eventually, we settled on. I was playing drums, Liam was playing guitar, and then Henry was playing bass. And then later, when we finally grasped Ed, he was also playing guitar.
Awesome. So
yeah, it worked out. We did need another musician. It was kind of funny. It started out with Henry playing drums, I think, because he had the basement we practiced in, and it was kind of whose parents would let him have the drum kit in the house.
Exactly.
That's exactly.
That's happened to me. My first instrument was drums. I just bought it on a whim, and my friends literally started picking up instruments because of that. Like that's how I got into my first band ever. I was 19 or 20, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm buying drums." And I had it in my room. And my buddies were like, "Man, I'm gonna play guitar." And then my other buddy's like, "Fuck, I want to play drums, but I'll play bass, I guess." And I guess bass is like, I play bass now, so I don't want to say it's like the afterthought, but I feel like it is. Actually, funny story. I was at work today, and someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, what do you do in your band?" I said, "Oh, I play bass." She went, "Oh." I was like, "Well, fuck yourself too." Then I don't know, but yeah. So that was the reaction I got today. So it was very flattering. It was nice. But the Stone Lows, what's the Stone Lows mean?
Well, the name, we were kind of just playing around with what kind of sounds memorable. We were kind of modeling after a lot of like the garage rock kind of bands. They all had like the something, the this, the that. So it'd be kind of fun to kind of homage to that a little bit. And then that was just kind of one of the names that stuck.
I'm glad you said that because you have a song. I won't get the song right. Nights Like This, is it? Nights Like This. It sounds like The Strokes, and I don't know if that's what you're going for.
Definitely modeled it a little bit after that. Like that one, even I ran my vocals through my guitar amp to get that really Strokes vocal sound.
Cool. Yep.
A lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, and your other song I listened to that I thought is Talking to Myself. I think that's it, right? That's the one that has like it builds up and then breaks down.
Yeah.
That the one? Yeah.
They all tend to, I kind of tend to write like that a lot. It's
Fuck yeah, me too, buddy. I love the build, and I love the breakdown, but I'm like a big like building up, like slow building up kind of guy. So I heard that, I was like, I know what he's fucking doing, and I like it. It was cool.
every time I write, it's going to be like, what's like the big moment? What's like
Mhm.
the big crash
Yeah.
that you work towards?
So how do you guys, with all of you in the band, how are you guys writing right now? Does anybody start with something, send it your way, like, or do you sit down and just jam it out, or what's the?
It usually kind of starts like bits and pieces. Like, you'll have like one like four bar thing that sounds pretty cool. And then you just kind of loop it and repeat it. And like, you kind of start to hear it, hear where it goes towards the end of it. And then I usually kind of like sit and think about it. I'm like, what do I want that to be later on? And then usually it's pretty productive, just pondering it, sit and meditate on it for a little bit, and then rinse and repeat. And you're like, all right, I got this part now. I think this would sound cool if we did this too. And then you play it and then you're like, all right, that was pretty cool. And then slowly like a song starts to form, and it's pretty magical.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Alex? Like, do you write anything, or do you just kind of play along?
Yeah, no, actually Liam and I essentially write most of the
Most of it?
material, aside from, like there's parts almost in every single song that are coordinated by all four of us, either by accident or by design. So the writing process, generally at least for me, starts with I find some type of melody, and then I like basically go to my sheet music and I write out all the chords and everything like that, and sort of go along with
That's
that.
really fucking smart. I wish I would do that.
Well, we actually both do it. We freaking both use Noteflight like all the time.
Some notation software, notate all the parts out. Alex is a boy wonder with that stuff. It takes me like a year to do it, and then Alex will be like, yeah, I got a full song with all the parts.
Yeah, see, that's really intelligent. I can't tell you how many times Andrew and I haven't like, and as another question I was gonna ask you guys at some point, but we can talk about it now too. So we haven't been able to gig at all because of the pandemic. Now we started this last March and it's kind of what you said at the beginning. We didn't really take this necessarily seriously or knew where this was heading for us, that we were actually going to try and put a band together and 2-man band and put an album out, but it started to go that way and get a little bit more serious during the summer, and then kind of were like, what, let's fucking do this. But that's one thing that Andrew and I both said, like, we've done the album, it's recorded. I play back some of the songs. I was saying to Andrew just to try and remember the chords, and then I'm getting a little smarter and writing down what I actually played. But there's some parts in a song where I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. And Andrew said the same thing about the bass line. He goes, I'm gonna have to remember how to play that, or at least a version of it.
Yeah, there are some songs that we did that literally I probably like full song played once, and that's when I recorded it, right? So that's what we say. People are like, hey, I can't wait till the pandemic's gone, you guys will play a show. And I'm like, I can't wait to learn the songs again, because it's so fucking long, right? So but you guys dropped an EP right as the pandemic hit, eh?
Yeah, we recorded that around January or so, and so it kind of just happened to be in that timeline.
Yeah, fuck, eh? Does that hurt you like promoting it? I guess it must have hurt you promoting it, right? Because you can't play shows, right?
There wasn't a ton of promotion for that one anyway. I'm pretty sure we had like one post and then the thing dropped, and we were like, well, this is what it is.
Yeah,
surprisingly, still got a bunch of traction. Like I'm pretty sure we spiked to like around like 200 something like listeners on Spotify right when we dropped it. We were like, dang. Okay.
Yeah, we were just kind of like, we did this. Listen if you want.
That's great, man. You guys
were you guys able to? Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, were you guys able to play before that though? Did you guys have a bit of a following in terms of gigs before that, or no?
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple, like especially local bars that love to have us every now and then, and we'll play around there. Especially, I really had taken for granted playing live, because at first I was like, I want to be just like a studio band kind of. I'm a big studio guy. I'm kind of like, I just want to sit back and be the man behind the curtain, make all the sounds. And then after this whole thing, it's like, I just can't wait to play some live shows some more. I didn't realize how much I'd miss it.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? Is you don't really, I mean, I've only played live a couple times, 3 times with other bands. Although I played probably the biggest stage in all of London at Budweiser Gardens. It's kind of like big arena. It's where our OHL team plays, anyways, and it's about 9,000 people. There was only about 200 people there, but I can say
that's
that
still-
I can pretend that it was massive and there's fans going wild. But yeah, it's an amazing rush to be on, and but I haven't played in, well, I don't know how many years that was. It's got to be about 10. So 10 or 15, maybe even longer than 15. I don't know. It's a long fucking time.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. I don't know about you, Andrew. When's the last time?
The last time I played for a real show was when before I moved here. I was in Toronto. Sorry guys, Toronto. You know Toronto, Ontario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because
Been there once.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah?
you know of it. So yeah, I that was over 10 years ago. But the last show I played in a dive bar and it was after I moved here. I went back to Toronto and played a show, and it was the fucking worst, man. We got there, and I told my boys, like, hey, I have a show lined up. Let's just go do it. So we drove. We got a free condo that we got to stay in, which is cool. And so we just drove to Toronto, and we went there, and the stage was the size of like this desk behind me, and there was 5 of us in the band, and we were like, just like this, and I had a backup vocal in the song, and I went to sing it, and my mic stand was broken, and it just kept spinning around like this. It was such a fucking clusterfuck. It was so embarrassing. Like, I told all the people that I knew from Toronto, I was like, hey, I'm coming back for a show. They're cool, man. I haven't seen you in years. I went back, and it was so embarrassing. They didn't have enough mics for the amps, so they could only mic one guitar amp, and mine wasn't the one that was mic'd. So it was like the sound must have been, there's no sound check either. The sound must have been just horrid. And that's my last memory of a live show, is going on stage like this next to my fucking singer and getting ran the butt by my other guitar player. And it was the worst experience. And so I'm looking forward to make up for that. And it's you know, it's man, I wish I had audio. I would play it right now just to show you how fucking embarrassing it was. It was bad. It was bad. So enough about me though. But yeah. So what's the scene in Rochester like? Not Rochester. Yeah, Rochester.
Yeah,
What's
Rochester,
the scene like
yeah.
there? What's the music like? Because here we don't have really a rock following. Like, it's for us to get people in our city to care. It's tough because it's more top 40 and more you know, everything on the radio right now. There's no real instruments, and it's all just, you know, dancey. Is there rock still alive in New York there?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We kind of go between the cracks of a lot of stuff. There's a lot of punk and a lot of metal, especially in Rochester. So much metal.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we also there's a Eastman School of Music, which is a pretty prestigious music school. So we get a lot of like classical musicians that kind of want to play, especially more metal. I've seen a couple of metal musicians out of there. And then between that and then once you get outside of Rochester, you get a lot of country too. So we've always been like too soft for metal, but then too aggressive for like indie folk kind of stuff. So we kind of bounce around between the two in that scene.
Yeah, that's a tough part, when you're kind of trying to carve out a niche and it's not really fitting in with what's there. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. We're stuck in the 90s, really music scene kind of, we called it kind of like the modern throwback to the 90s is what we're at. But
they weren't born yet.
No, that's
they
true.
weren't born yet. Well, that's crazy.
Gotta listen to
I know
some
it
good
well.
90s. You know, well, see, but that's the glorious things that never went away.
Yeah.
But it's tough because like we have one rock radio station here in London, but it's, unless you're big, right? We're lucky in terms of, at least in Canada, they push Canadian music. There's a percentage that has to be played, so they do have to find Canadian music. And thankfully we have great Canadian bands, but it is tough to crack like the major stations, at least, to come in. Have you guys had any luck with any radio stations at all?
A few. We haven't really been trying. We're starting to enter like kind of a new stage of the band where we kind of like taken a step back, especially like with this past year. We're like, all right, let's kind of rework this, start from the ground up.
Yeah, we've been mainly rather than doing the radio thing, which we have been played on. What was the one station that we were played on, Leon?
94.1.
Yeah, 94.1.
The Zone.
And then what was it? Mike. What's Mike's radio station, man?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Wayo. It's a really it's pretty indie, really local. Like, I don't even think you have to be like within like a mile or two of Rochester to even get it.
Mm-hmm.
But he loves us, and like I love it so much. He's like a big fan of our music. It feels real
That's
good.
cool.
It's good to have that support, man. It's good to have that.
Yeah, because that's what we find is difficult around here. Is like we've had our local university station pick us up, and a bunch of internet radio stations are willing, or we're on rotation all the time. Usually daily, like one of our songs, whether it's "Fix Me" or "Who's Lonely Now," one of our singles is on, which is great. It's so cool to see. And the UK, for whatever reason, has given us the most love. And then right behind is actually you guys in the US. Cincinnati, for some reason, I don't know who's in Cincinnati listening to us. I'd love to know who they are. But yeah, at one point they were number 1 on our streams in Spotify, which was so weird, right? But Andrew and I are like, we don't know anyone.
That's just
Right,
one
so-
guy. We have one guy in Cincinnati. He's like,
As long
He's
as
your
he
biggest
starts to
fan. You got to
share-
go to Cincinnati.
yeah,
exactly. We got to play a show. We'll get one guy and hopefully a bunch of his friends or girl. I don't know who it is.
Yes, someone may have died
discriminate.
and put on loop, and then they died, and it just keeps going. You know, so the
Stuck
algorithm
on
is
repeat.
like, yeah, if you're gonna die, you might as well. What were your guys'
We should hit that
influences?
loop button first.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Hit
yeah.
that
If, you-
repeat.
if your heart hurts, just loop, and we'll be happy. Yeah. What were you guys' influences growing up? Like, what got you into music, and what would you want to emulate, sort of, in your music? Because you guys said you don't want to make the same song twice or the same sound twice.
Oh yeah, that feels like it changes like every week for me at least.
Yeah.
We definitely started out doing grunge. It was a huge, myself at least, huge grunge, huge punk kind of influence. But I've really I've mellowed out, I think.
Okay.
I got a lot less angsty.
So wait, you're
Who's your favorite grunge artist? If you had to
Favorite
pick
grunge
one.
artist? I did like Mudhoney a lot
Oh,
for
yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
I really like that, like really grimy, really do it yourself. I think the common denominator with all my music is I really like that like do it yourself kind of lo-fi sound. It's got some like kind of inspiration to it, you know. You're like, hey, they're doing it, I can do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Mudhoney's a great one, actually. Yeah. Alex, what about you?
Yeah.
In terms of musical influences, well, that's tough. Again, it's changed a lot because like back when, what was it? Back when you and Henry were listening to a bunch of like Modest Mouse and
Oh,
Oh,
Honey
Modest
and
Mouse is
all
another
that.
huge
And
one.
Modest Mouse, undeniable. If you listen to that first record and you listen to Opaque, it's impossible to escape that only came about because of Lonesome Crowded West. Like that is 100% one of our biggest influences. But while they were listening to that, I was really into classic rock, which
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
right on.
eventually I got out of, and I started listening to more jazz and jazz fusion and stuff like that. And now I've definitely mellowed back and I've started to listen to more, well, like I've gone through psych rock phases and things like that. Like recently, I would say like our biggest influence, at least last year, was definitely King Gizzard. And that was before the EP. And you can hear it because all that stuff is in different time signatures, like not 4/4 and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing where you can. I know we've talked about this just recently on a podcast, but like growing up, it was mostly country music for me. And I was saying before is now I've almost come full circle, and it's kind of the indie country rock sort of where I've gravitated to in the last few years. But in between there has been everything from rap to hip hop to, classic rock. It's actually classic rock was not something I really got into until I met my girlfriend, now my wife, but that her dad listened to classic rock. That's all he'd put on. And I was like, what is this shit? And then I was like, no, this is actually really good. But I would never admit it at the time. Right. For me at that time, I think I was listening to more of like, still what I listen to today is like Canadian rock, like Sam Roberts and whatnot, that at the time was really, really popular here. And, he was like, nah, that's, they've got all their influences from these bands here. And he's not wrong. It's so true. But yeah,
I feel like we don't have that. We like our children. We can't say like our music was like that. We don't have that.
No,
we
don't.
have like we have like Britney Spears. Like, oh, back in the day, it's like we don't have anything to like in the time. There's not like timeless music right now. I feel like a lot of it's kind of fluffy.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good for my kids like that. They're really well versed in music. They cross genres that I wouldn't have at that age, but it's pretty impressive. They'll throw on the Beatles, for a month, right? That's all they like all of a sudden listen to that, and then all of a sudden it's Shawn Mendes for another month, which is unfortunate. A great artist, don't get me wrong, but we won't knock them, but at least to my ears, I'm like, no thanks.
I'm telling Shawn Mendes that.
Yeah,
I know him well.
You know him well, eh? The
We
Canadian.
go way back.
Yeah. We actually
No,
had
it's an interesting.
Go on, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting time to really be into music, especially now with like Spotify and streaming and all that. Is like you can pull up any song you want and you've got it, so you can really go down some rabbit holes with scenes.
It's true, eh? Yeah, we said this too. Like that daily mix is now the radio. Really, is today's radio at the end of the day, and it's amazing. I know there's a lot of bands that I never would have ever found had it not been for Spotify, and it just being in a daily mix or played after, you know, an album that was played or a song. I think of one, actually, the Michigan Rattlers. Don't even know how to describe their sound, but I wish there was more of their music. That's the only part I hate, right? You get these bands, sometimes you find, and you're like, I want more. And you find out that they're not playing anymore, or they're just not making music at this time, right? And they've only put out one EP or something like that. And you're like, come on, let's go.
And that's what kind of works against you, though, right? Because if a band has like you know, just an EP out, like a 3-track EP, and you're like, I want more of it, but you're not going to stick around for more of it. You're going to find similar artists and get away from that, right?
It's true.
So that's the problem with what we talk about this all the time. But with like Spotify is so accessible to every song in the world that it's hard to gain any traction, because if you got nothing new coming, then there's going to be, you know, thousands of other artists with new stuff coming out all the time with similar sound or whatever, that it's hard to just attach to one band or want to follow, especially a new band, right? So that's what we, at the beginning of the pandemic, we talked about that. We thought, like, what a great time to release music, because everyone's home right now. Then everyone was home and everyone was listening to every fucking song they could that they you know, and kept going down the rabbit hole, like you said, right? So it's I mean, it's tough to gain, I think, traction. It's nice to see numbers on Spotify. It's like when we first got on Spotify, I was like stoked. I was like, holy fuck, we're on Spotify. Like everyone's on Spotify, and now I'm like, fuck. Like you guys said, your last EP you got 237. You said something like that.
Right,
Followers.
in that ballpark.
Yeah. So do you find that people are listening to the whole EP, or is it just like, you know, is it one song stick out more than the rest?
The first song definitely has the most views. You kind of find that, like,
Exactly.
The
Vacuum.
Yeah,
Vacuum has been at the top of that EP for a while. But also the funny thing about that is that Everything Stays off Oh Tribulations is up there. And then also Come Around off our first record. All the first tracks are some of the most listened to tracks, just based on if you throw on the record, that's the first one you're gonna hear.
Comes up.
Yeah, and I think that's only natural, you know, with people. Like there is so much now, and there's a lot less to do. So like people got to be constantly whatever's like the forefront of attention, that's going to be what's listened to. So it's kind of strange to see like albums are almost even kind of dying out, the art of the album.
Are you guys ever thinking about doing a full album? Is it in your scope, or are you guys thinking of sticking to singles and EPs right now?
Currently, we've been sticking with singles, you know, trying to keep the train moving.
It's true. I know. You know what? We started a couple podcasts earlier on with some other indie artists, and John Mitchie, who has put out a full album and has really pushed it. And I think he's working on another full length album again, and give him all the credit in the world to put that time in and, you know, kind of put it all out there and then hope that it goes. But if it doesn't, you know, all that time invested, it's just sitting there.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a personal stake in albums. You know, you gotta like really, if you have like a message you really want to get out. Like I think all of our albums have kind of been like, you know, we're doing this kind of for us. You know, we want to just release an album. It's like we have this thing, it's ours. Let's just send it out. And unfortunately, well, I don't know if I want to say unfortunately, but it's just kind of how it is the attention is so much more on singles recently. Yeah. People just want like the one song they can keep playing, and then once that's over, you get the next song as soon as they're done with that.
It's a throwaway. It's a really throwaway society on everything, including music, you know, in a way. Unless they find that song that they really, really like, right? And they may throw it on repeat and put it on their
and then it'll go on playlist, and then it catches on.
And then maybe your other stuff finally catches up, you know, at some point, or get some other listens. And I mean, hey, that's happened to even artists that I've, listen to, like, oh, I really like that song, and I may never go back to something else until later on and be like, oh shit, this is actually pretty good too. So
I mean, being like the music business has kind of shifted into like content creators. You got to kind of just keep making consistent work, and like in inventive ways. Like you guys have the podcast, and this is really cool. I was blown away by how cool this is.
it was, I don't know if I said to Andrew, I was like, we couldn't play gigs, right? That was the big thing. Like, I don't know what it's been like for you guys in Rochester in terms of lockdown, but we have been in 2 major lockdowns in terms of you're not going anywhere. So the last one that hit us the big time was in December. We were in lockdown till almost the middle
last week, right?
Last
Like
week, right? I was going to say, yeah. So the end of February. And I said to Andrew, like, man, we're never going to get out of this, right? In terms to be able to play a gig and network with other bands. And even when we do, what is that going to look like? So I was kind of like, what are the chances that we could just, and I love podcasts. I personally like video ones because I like seeing people more than just listening, but I know people are, like to do both. So we were like, fuck it, we'll throw on Spotify and Google Podcasts as well, just so people could listen to it if they wanted. But yeah, and we thought, what a great way to communicate with other bands, network, and find out what they're doing. We can't maybe play music together, but at least we can chat. And it was probably what we would do at a gig anyways, before and after the show, right? Have a bunch of beers and go. So it was the next best thing.
Yeah. Plus, it wasn't like an interview kind of. We don't want to do an interview kind of like sit there and ask you a bunch of questions. We just we had the real Michael Lee on, and he came on and we talked about probably beer for the whole 45 minutes.
It
and
was
we
a
were
long
like,
time.
oh, we're out of time. I hope that you fucking you have anything to plug because it's over. So it's kind of just like it's just so many good independent artists who are just looking to get known, get I think this way is a good way to you guys to get fans for yourself. Even you put yourself out there and people might like your music, then they get to know more about you guys, right? And that's what's about, like the personal connection, because that's the only thing missing from just listening on Spotify and going. You know what though? Actually, while you guys were talking about that Spotify thing, I was wondering, like, how many listens do you think it takes for someone to give up on a band? Like, say someone heard one of your songs and they were like, I dig the song. How many times, and they want to go back to your whole library of music? How many songs do you think they listen to before they're like, fuck it, I'm over this band? Like, if they didn't dig the next song, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they heard one song they liked and they went back and looked, do you think 2? You think it's 2? Like, what would you guys do? I think it's, for me, it'd be probably fucking 2.
I think it's 2. Yeah, 2
right?
is pretty freaking accurate. Honestly, if you listen to one and then you go to the next one, which a lot of people just click on most popular, and if they don't dig the second one, they're like, yuck.
We're done.
And at least for me, sometimes I'll listen to the first one, I'll love it. Second one, if I don't really like it, I'll skip to the next one.
Yeah,
but then
that's it.
The next one, if that one doesn't impress.
Yeah.
That's still not the end all be all, because I do like to give people a chance. I like listening to records because out of context, some singles don't make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still an album guy. I'll listen to a full album that they put out, regardless. I'll kind of just force myself listen to beginning to end, and I'll be like, I guess that was all right. Or if it's real good, then I'm in. I'm a fan.
Yeah. I must admit, I would agree. I'm more of a full album guy than a single guy. I would listen to a full album, and I'm one that most of the time I'll listen to that full album and I'm not 100% sold, but I know that I've got to go back and do it again and again and again. And I've had many albums where I could have easily given up right away, attached to those singles, been like, man, I really like that song. And then I've gone back and I was like, fuck, man, there was actually some really good tunes on that one. And I'm gonna say, because Andrew's gonna fucking kill me if I don't. But there was a Matt Mays album. It's called When Angels Made Contact. He knew he was going with this.
He talks about Matt Mays every podcast, so just go ahead.
Check. But no, in all seriousness, it was one album that I kind of gave up on. A couple good songs on there that one was a radio play, so it kind of was catchy. But then he played a song live, and I was like, where the fuck is that from? And sure enough, it was from that album. And I was like, you know what? I got to go back and re-listen to that. And sure enough, there's songs on there that I was like, oh man, these are actually really good. There were some still ones that were out there. I couldn't do it. But, so, and I think that's sometimes part of it too. You got to see a band live. And sometimes that live band experience and what they are on stage, you kind of go, shit, actually, I got to go back and listen. Right. So.
Yeah. But you know how rare that is? How rare it is for someone to go, this album was okay, but I'm listening to it again to see if I understand it. Like
For
that,
sure.
that
No,
never,
for
that,
sure.
that never. It's like, you know, people who like, I watched this fucking movie and it sucked, but then when I rewatched it, there are parts like,
wouldn't rewatch
why
a
would you
movie.
rewatch a fucking movie? It sucked, right? Like, so I think all three of you are saying shit that I'm blown away at. To me, it's super rare. Like Liam, good for you, man. Like listening to albums in the full.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's-
we've released 2 EPs. I honestly, of the people I know, I probably would go maybe like 5. Listen to the whole EP. And that's it's only 5 tracks. It's 20 fucking minutes out of your day, right? I would say 5. And that may be generous. I don't know, but
That's good.
you know. And our original plan was to release a full 14-track album, and we were going to do it like just like you guys said, like just throw it out there and see what happens. And we kind of pulled an audible at the last minute and said, "Fuck it, we'll do a single 5-track EP, single 5-track EP." And then even with the 5-track EPs, that slope is drastic from the first, you know, from a single song to the last 5th song. It's a drastic slope.
And it's
You
kind of
guys-
sad now that you see it too, because you're like, shit, what song do you put on the 5th one? Because it may never get heard. And it could be one of the ones that you were like, fuck, I really like this song.
Yeah.
Do you guys have
That's
any?
exactly what I mean with like the singles, because it's like, what if you have some gold at the end of your
I
album,
know.
but no one will like even hear it if everyone like kind of drops off just due to attention span.
Yeah.
It's
So
true.
it's-
It's tough.
Now it's kind of good to like pace everything out. So you got like a game plan. You're like, all right, I'll put this one out then, and I'll put this one out then. You get a whole timeline going, and it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
it's kind of
do
just
you
the
think
way
you'll ever
it is
put-
now.
Do you think you'll ever put all those singles though onto maybe an EP or an album and then like throw in a couple extra? Do you know what I mean?
Maybe when we're actually like discussing like a record, we are discussing the prospects of it right now. It all depends really on how the year goes and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
you know we want a really engaged audience at that point before we release a record, and we want to have, you know, the proper amount of material that's really fleshed out to make a whole, like, I guess, you know, artwork really flow together and everything like that. So perhaps at some point, but we're also playing with the idea of doing doubles as well, because like you guys said, it's like you click on the one song, that's the one song, and then you go to the second one though, and you might be able to sell people if you have like a solid double. That's even less than an EP, but like,
It's true.
yeah, it's I don't know, it's kind of like what they did back in like the 20s with like the 45s, where all of a sudden, you know, there was something on the B side rather than just the song on the A side.
It's a good call, actually. Yeah, I know there's a band that we interviewed, the Damn Renegades, and they're just doing 3-song EPs. They've put out 2. One was it was recorded. I think it was just like kind of a basement recording, and then the next one they went into studio. So like the 2 albums themselves are way different just in terms of recording quality, because they decided to go that route. But they were pretty adamant that that's kind of the way that they were going to go, was kind of a 3-song EP. It's like, it's short, but you know, kind of like what you said, maybe if somebody doesn't like the first one, maybe go to the second one, but then because it's only 3 songs, what the fuck, you might as well try another one, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're already 2 out of 3 in, you know, go 3 out of 3 and maybe you hit gold that way. So yeah, it's really interesting. This discussion has been a very popular one in terms of with everyone that we've had on, and it's so many different opinions on what to do and how to do it. And I think the biggest thing is we all agree on is the attention span of everyone is so short. We even see it. Yeah. No, go ahead.
It works a little bit to your advantage too, when you're like, you can just kind of throw out everything that you have, because it's a lot less commitment. You can be like, let's try something really weird with this one, and let's try something really cool with this one, which is really interesting, especially because now we started recording from home. I've been mixing everything just right here in my bedroom, like right in this room. And
there it is when Andrew's on. That's
This is where I do it all too. I also work on this computer, so I'm just here all the fucking time. I just need a cot.
Yeah, me too. I got to get comfier chair. This has been like,
the
$20 chair is not the way to go. I'm finding out the hard way.
You'll spend more on the hemorrhoid medication. So get a good chair.
So
go ahead, Alex. Sorry,
Andrew. Did you turn on a light about halfway through?
I don't know what happened. This happens.
No,
I know. It just no. Hold on. It just There you go.
Yeah, yeah,
See,
look at
there you
Okay,
go.
okay. I've been looking at you, and then at some point you just turned completely
I know.
white, and I was like, 10 minutes in, I was like,
This-
it's gonna
this-
distract me if I keep thinking about it.
That's hilarious.
This happens all the time. And like I have these ring lights that are right above my monitors. And what happens is like right now is a normal lighting, right? And
Yeah.
then I don't know what happens. I think my camera must autofocus and the light just takes over and I look like I'm a fucking angel. I just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was hoping you didn't notice, so I kept trying to move my head this way to get the autofocus. And you're the first person to call me out on it. So it's literally not the first. It's like this is the 20th podcast we've done, and it's happened probably 18 of the 20
at least.
And Alex, thank you. You're the first one to call me out on my fucking. I don't know. And now it's normal, but for how long we don't know. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's an interesting prospect.
So weird,
I don't
right?
know. Those ring lights are powerful, I guess.
I don't know. I think my camera like I move my keyboard. I have a tray, so I think it moves, and then my camera focuses and takes the light only, and I just become like literally shiny. It gives me a complex too because I'm like, holy fuck, how do I get away with it? You know, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, that's great. Yeah.
That's pretty fun. That's amazing. That's hilarious.
I'm
No
better
worries.
now. I'm better now. Yeah, but it'll happen again. So Alex, get one last look at me because it might be the last time.
Yeah, the last time I see the normal one before the light takes you.
Yeah. But so Liam, you said you're doing all the mixing in your room. Is that process different than your first EPs? Because you guys.
Yes and no. A lot of times we've kind of been bouncing back and forth between recording. Like in our college, we went to FLCC, Finger Lakes Community College, and they had a really nice recording program, and they had a bunch of studios for us to use. So we recorded a couple instruments in there. A lot of times we've just been recording like guitar amps in our basement, and then usually we'll find a friend that knows how to mix, and we'll just kind of pass it to them, and they'll mix it along. But recently, I've been kind of really getting into like I kind of want to have the whole control of the album sound again, or the control of the sound thing again. And it's nice because you just kind of wake up and my studio stuff is right there, and I can try this and that. I can try to reamp these guitars through this amp or that amp, and time becomes a lot more of a luxury that I have to experiment with stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing what you could do now at home, and that's without the technology today, I don't know what we would like. Our album would be shitty quality, you know.
Yeah, we just
we were able to and we record that, like, so I would record something and send to Nate, and he would record something and send it back to me, and then we go back and forth and adding things. Then we just mix it up, and it never we never, you know, we're in the room to talk about it. Just kind of like we talked about what we're doing along the way, and it's so interesting. But that's kind of why, you know, music is, you know, everyone could do it, right? Even like really crappy artists could get out there and be on Spotify and you know, good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
it's real good to real good to like start recording parts and absolutely fumble them just over and over again and not feel like I'm wasting someone's time.
Right.
Yeah.
Just be
Time
sitting there.
and money, right, in a studio. That's the
Yeah.
It's
thing.
also
exactly.
like a whole lot less stressful. I mean, gosh, like when we were doing some of the studio parts for like the EP, we were recording with our friend Will, and while that's pretty low stakes, if we were in like a real recording studio for that, whew, oh my gosh, there's always like the pressure's on because you're paying for time.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, I've paid for the equipment, so I've already kind of like scratched that, and now I can just like go at my own pace. And
it's amazing, like the equipment, even that, you know, Andrew and I have picked up over the last little bit. It's amazing that you don't need a whole lot to get, you know, a really good sound and really good recording quality. And I mean, there's so many good free stuff, you know, that's out there. Even I don't know what you guys are using for a DAW. There you go, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back in heaven. I'm back
Casper
in
the
heaven.
Friendly Ghost is back.
Yeah. Holy shit. How do I get away with it? I don't know how to stop it. Keep talking.
Anyway, so so that's, but it's like, because for us, like, we're using Reaper, right, and it's a free DAW, right? I mean, there's other great ones out there, but I mean, for what we're doing and what we're using it for, it's been, you know, it's been fantastic. And it's great because we're able to send our stems back and forth, and then finally I'll just throw all my stems, the vocal tracks and guitar, and throw it to Andrew, and then he just mixes it all with the other stems that he has, and I let him work his magic. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
I'm
Yeah, I've
sorry
been kind
that
of just rocking with FL Studio, but
Yeah. Yep.
pretty much in terms of like microphones and equipment, I pretty much just use an SM57 and it gets the job done.
It sure does. Yeah, I've got a 57 and 58, and then this Marantz I use for vocals. I've got an Apex too for vocals, but I actually prefer this one over the Apex. So yeah, it's amazing. You know what you can get into the sounds and the plugins that you can put on and the effects. It's just stupid. So
I have a bit of a complex
yeah,
with this fucking light. I can
Don't
see
let the light win.
I can see Alex's his glasses. I can see his reflection
Yep.
and I was kind of like, holy fuck. Anyway, you guys don't have Twitter? You guys are on Twitter right now? Nothing?
We're not on Twitter. Our
not on
like
Twitter.
our main thing's Instagram right now. That's kind of where we do most of our posting. We're theoretically slowly gonna probably develop our TikTok. It's
Oh,
not
fuck.
exactly something that's yeah, I know it's not exactly something anyone's exactly hyped to do, but also it is a huge platform right now. So
it
we
is.
kinda
You know what?
gotta-
It's not. Don't get us wrong. We're not faulting you for it because we're on it and we're trying our damnedest. But I did one that I thought was fucking hilarious,
We had one view.
and we had one. view.
Oh,
I put those laughing girls in it. I thought that was the thing to do, like the laughing duet. Have you seen this?
no,
I'm
I have
so
not seen the
unfamiliar
laughing
with
dude.
Okay,
everything.
so essentially, you say something or you play. The one guy that I saw do it, he was playing a guitar thing, and it was like this country song or whatever. When you're a rock star playing country, he plays it, and then all of a sudden, these two girls kind of look at each other. They cheers their glasses, and then they just break out laughing. And then your idea is like you walk away in sorrow or in shame because just laughed at you. So
Yeah.
we did this. I said to Andrew, like, hey, you do like, hey, I'm Andrew, and then I'll do, hey, I'm Nathan from Chasing Records, and you're listening to Fix Me, and I have Fix Me playing in the back of TikTok because what's sweet is when you put your mute, like distribute your music. I don't know how you guys are what platform you're using, but we're using DistroKid, so it throws it
Yes,
right
dude.
on. So yeah, so it throws it
Awesome.
right onto TikTok, like TikTok for you, right? So you can pull
Yeah.
your songs right in. So I put it on and then had the girls laughing at the end. And I was like, dude, this is going to be great. Yeah, no, fuck it. And then we've had Andrew posted a video of it was a teaser, right?
yeah.
It had, like,
643 views.
643
And we don't have any followers TikTok. We don't actively,
Go after. Yeah, we're
go
not
after
looking,
anything. I think we have like
yeah.
25 followers on TikTok.
So
but,
we don't understand.
but we didn't gain any followers from it too. Like
No,
that's the funny thing. Like 643 views overnight and no followers gained.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
And we've had the
I don't
same
know.
problem on Twitter too. Like some of our stuff has like we had 3,000 impressions on like a video. And now mind you, with Twitter though, I do find that we do get follows with random, like with those spikes, but then all of a sudden we'll throw something on and it's got 100 impressions. So we don't know what's pulling, how these, I mean, it's like Spotify. I don't know how the algorithms work because I'm sure if anyone did, they would be selling it.
yeah.
But it's just so strange on how something catches fire or what hashtag was working at that point in that time. It may not even been something that was trending, but for whatever reason it was pulling stuff up. So
Well, at least what I've found with that is just honestly, it's half chance, but like also it's half like what day and hour you're gonna do it at and things like that. Because
Yeah.
I've largely been posting to the Stone Lows, so every single day I see like the outcome of whatever is posted, and some days you get way more traction than others. Some
Yeah.
days you get a bunch of comments on some posts you didn't even like really think too much about. Other days you get like nothing. And
Right.
I swear it's just, everyone's got phases. It's not like everyone's on social media all the time, including every single one of your followers. And it's not like everyone's looking at hashtags all the time and everything like that in their searches. So I swear it's just random spikes because of the algorithm and then also people's just natural habits.
yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, it's just strange.
So-
It's strange.
It's a little bit barometric pressure. It's a little bit where the stars are in the sky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm so illiterate to it. Like
Yeah.
regardless, I let just Alex handle everything. Just let me
Yeah.
mix. I'm happy when I'm just mixing.
Yeah, Andrew does all the Instagram stuff and I do all the Twitter stuff, and we just keep it separate and hope that we can have traction either way. But yeah, it's it's good to be out there regardless. And TikTok, same thing. It's just good to be out there, and hey, you never know, right? You just never know, and it's good to just have everything out there ready to go. So yeah, I don't blame you with the TikTok. It's not a bad idea. It's hot, so
I like
try
how you
and
said the TikTok. It's like,
Did I say the TikTok?
the TikTok.
The
I understand the TikTok.
Yeah. In our
Um,
household, it's the Twitter or the
yeah.
Instagram or I don't know why we put the in front of it, but we always do.
Well, the Stone Lows, you know,
The Stone Lows.
That's why. Yeah,
That's
the
how-
was a very trendy thing.
Yeah.
But I will say this, Alex, about Instagram. I feel like Twitter is if you post something someone's interested in, they'll take the next step to look at it. You know what I mean? Like if you post a link to one of your songs and someone like interacts with your page enough, they'll go. I feel like Instagram's kind of like more like, oh, they hearted it, you know, they give you the like, and then they won't take the next step to, you know, like our story could have like over 150 views, but if our song is linked to Spotify in that story, the amount of interaction from that story that goes to that link is like nothing. People like it, send you the fucking flames, you know, but just the extra
Liam's
step.
like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, sorry, Liam. Mixing.
I'm just happy to be here.
Well, some people do like it and stuff like that. It depends what you're posting. I've found actually some success with the stories and everything like that. Just because if you are just putting up songs that you have up there and like the Spotify links to them, it's easier for people to just click on it either by accident or they actually want to listen to it. And we've actually gained like some traction and some random people from that. I don't know if you guys have from Twitter either. Like,
Yeah, Twitter's been more traction on that.
Yeah.
Like clicks from there.
yeah, I'll
Same with
definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, Bandcamp too.
Guys,
It's been
you
good
get
with
on
the
Twitter.
embedded stuff.
I'll say it. It's 2021. I still don't know how to use Twitter.
Nah,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. The only reason why I said to Andrew I'd take on Twitter is because I used it for work,
Yeah,
which
I
I
never
don't
use
use. And I was like, listen, I was like, I have 80 followers on Twitter, which isn't a lot, but I said for the amount that I've posted, it's a lot in terms of. And I said I did one viral one where my son dressed up as a back catcher for the Jays, and I put it on and tagged him, and it blew up. That post, I was like, listen, like I can probably, try and hit some of these mini jackpots, right, or whatnot, and see if you can get some. And all you're looking for is just someone to listen to your music and be like, oh shit, I like that, right? It's just trying to catch a couple fans, and hopefully they get interested and tell their friends. And I said to Andrew, the one thing I know, even in my family too, is like I'll have music on in the house. And I think that's the biggest thing is you just want somebody to have it on, and then somebody go, oh shit, who is that? Or what do you have on right now? And I think that's key is that you just need that. You need that kind of organic fan base to just kind of, you don't know where they've come from, but you just hope that it comes out there. Right. So,
Yeah. Oh, I have a question for you guys.
all right.
All right.
Shoot.
So, on the Stories of Other EP Part 1, there's a song called Chapter 2. Is there ever going to be a Chapter 1 or a Chapter 3?
Ooh,
Good question.
ooh, good question.
I was like,
there's
there's no Chapter 1.
So okay. So the reason it's called Chapter 2 is we have a song called Slow Burn, and it has that build up that I was talking to you guys about. That I love it, like the big slow build. We call it Slow Burn because when I talked to Nate, I said this song it's like a slow burn because it rises slowly, then it drops off. And then so I wrote when at the beginning of Chapter 2 when it was written, I was like, this is like kind of part 2 to Slow Burn. So like we ended up calling it Chapter 2. But then when Nate wrote lyrics for it, he said Chapter 2, and then he says, I don't want to read about it, there's nothing new. So we're like, well, there can't be a fucking Chapter 2. Or it was technically Chapter 2 is about Chapter 1 and not wanting Chapter 2. That's essentially what the song's about. But good question. I don't know. Maybe.
I was gonna say, I was like, that starts to sound like a time paradox.
Yeah.
If you might.
It was meant that way. We're so deep that way. So
It was super deep.
Just so you know.
Yeah, but it was really like, I think part of it too was Chapter 2 was it was the second. Technically, Slow Burn would be Chapter 1 in theory, right? Because it was the first song of the build up and crash.
Yeah, no. Oh, I was just interested. So that answered my question. I'm super pumped about that now.
That's sweet.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool,
that's a
yeah.
great question. Yeah, I
We
appreciate
were
that.
actually going to have it on the last track of the album, but then the lyric says, I don't want to read about it, there's nothing new. And we thought maybe that's not the best way to segue to album 2, saying
There's nothing new.
there's nothing
Don't worry
new
about it.
So so we didn't do that. But
I think it's second last, if I'm not mistaken, on their full
it is second
album, right?
last. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, guys, we are well past our
Oh
usual
shoot!
It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. It's
doesn't
all
matter.
good. We
Yeah.
could go on for hours, but
Yeah.
usually to keep it at least in the similar time frames. But anyways, you guys want to find out, or where can everyone find you guys? Where's the best place? What's your ats?
Well, you can check us out on Stone Lows. We're the Stone Lows at Instagram. Also give us a follow on Spotify. That's definitely a good place to start. We're definitely we're not done with posting stuff. We're definitely going to be alive and well and active on all of those, so it'd be worth your time to check it out.
We're
Alice, anything
also
else?
we're also on the Facebook there as well.
Facebook,
If you're still going back, and maybe in like a couple weeks you'll see us on the TikTok as well, as we prefer to do it.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
no, mainly the Stone Lows Instagram, and then also we have made. Am I okay to promote our new song?
Yeah, of course. What?
Yeah,
No,
so
you
like
can't.
we
You asking
released
me or Liam? Who are you asking?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we're good with it. Is
no,
Liam
you
It's
on
out
there?
can't.
already, but it's still secret.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for asking. No, you can't. No, no,
Oh,
no.
no. But yeah, no. So we just made a new single called "Don't Stop Bringing Me Down."
Yep.
And if you want to know all the fun stuff that led up to that, we also have like a bunch of posts on Instagram, and we made a couple pretty short videos that we think were kind of fun. So if you like those,
Like the one that I just saw, was it today or you guys made yesterday with the faces?
oh my gosh,
That
that happened
filter?
about a year ago when they had the
Oh
Snapchat
yeah, that was
filter.
like
Or was
right when
that, I don't know,
quarantine
I
kinda
just that
started.
one of the ones that popped up at some point when I was like, I said to Andrew, I'm like, Jesus, and I was like, oh wait, it's a filter. It's a filter. I was like, what is going on here? That was incredible. But yeah, check because you have a bunch of stuff too on Facebook too, like with Don't Stop Bringing Me Down, right? So
Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
couple photo shoots and then a couple videos and all that stuff. So Don't Stop Bringing Me Down. Listen to it on Spotify, Apple
Instagram's
Music,
definitely
YouTube.
Instagram's definitely the way to stay up to date with us. That's kind of what we are most active on and most updatey with.
Updatey. I like that.
like that. The
That's a word,
TikTok and the
I think.
updatey.
We're-
I'm taking it. We're rolling with it.
New
All right,
band
well-
name, The Updatey.
The updateys on the TikToks.
And I just want to apologize for this, guys. I tried to fix it mid-flow. See, that's kind of better, right?
Yeah, it's better, yeah, for a second
It's
anyways,
the
yeah.
end. So here we go. All right, guys. Welcome to
All right.
Happy.
Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate it, eh?
Yeah,
We should,
it was
we
great
gotta
talking
do
to you
this
guys.
again. And if you guys, you're releasing anything in the next little bit, let us know. We'd love to have you guys back on. So.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Talk
Cheers.
to you.